Hello. 9 Gamut is a tapping sequence that was used in thought field therapy by Roger Callahan. And Gary Craig was a student of Roger Callahan's. And Gary Craig also used 9 Gamut when he first was teaching tapping. He would teach a regular round of tapping, the basics, the basic points, karate chop point, crown of the head, eyebrow points, outside corner of the eye, underneath the eye, under the nose, chin point, collarbone points, and under the arm. And then after he'd done a round or two of regular tapping, then he would do 9 Gamut. And 9 Gamut looks odd, but has real value in the way that it connects and releases stored trauma. When we record trauma, there's actually a fluctuation in the outside, the edge of our peripheral vision. And so 9 Gamut, I'll demonstrate 9 Gamut, and then I'll explain why it's really useful and what it's doing while we're doing it. It does look funny, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and then I'll explain it afterwards. So when we tap 9 Gamut, we tap Gamut point, and we do 9 steps. Gamut point is between your ring finger knuckle and your little finger on either hand, and it's between the 2 tendons that run down the back of your hand. There's a little dip, and it's right up by the knuckles. And so I'm not going to hold my hand up in the air. I'm going to put it down on the desk, but you continually tap 9 Gamut while you do the 9 steps. And the 9 steps are, first off, while you're doing these 9 things, and it will be easy after you've done it a few times, is to focus on your issue, whatever the issue is. Because you don't actually need to talk out loud while doing 9 Gamut. You just focus very specifically on the issue. And here are the 9 steps that you do. You focus on the issue, tapping continually on Gamut point, and then you tap with your eyes closed, and then you tap with your eyes open, and then you look over your left shoulder, and then you look back to center, and then you look over your right shoulder, and then back to center, and then you look down, and then you do a big wide circle with your eyes in your peripheral vision. And then you reverse the circle and look back the other way. And then you look back to center. And then you hum about 6 notes of music. Count out loud to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you hum again. Now, the musical notes can be anything. So the explanation of why we do 9 Gamut the way we do it is this. We're tapping Gamut point. Gamut point is a stress reduction point that is also used for the release of depression. And so it has to do with deep feelings. And then the points that we're doing while we're tapping that is we're closing our eyes. And as we close our eyes, we cut off all information input to the visual cortex of the brain, which means while we're focusing on the issue that we want to resolve, we're closing down all external input, so it means we're actually working internally. And it's like a new set point. When we start, then we open our eyes, and it's like a new start point. And then we look down to the left. This is left hemisphere of the brain. Back to center. Right hemisphere of the brain. Back to center. Left hemisphere of the brain. And then we go all the way around with our eyes full spectrum left, and then full spectrum right hemisphere. And then full spectrum right hemisphere, full spectrum left hemisphere. And then we go back to center again. Then we do music, numbers, music. Music is in the right hemisphere of the brain. Words, symbols, and numbers are in the left. So this is actually a way, very much like brain gym, where we rebalance the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And this is really useful because often when we're stuck in a problem, the left side of the brain is logical, linear. And when we worry about a problem and we ruminate or we feel powerless, we cycle through the thoughts over and over again, trying to figure out a way to fix them, so that we won't worry about it anymore, so that we can resolve it, so that it won't remain a problem for us. And that's very much a left brain process, whereas the right side of the brain is creative and expansive, and it's musical, and it's artistic, and it's also the emotional seat. So you can see if you're worried about something and you're worried and worried and worried about it, to get an emotional release, even if it's something that we know that we can't actually physically resolve, but to have an emotional release on something that we know we can't change, like the outcome of a past relationship, sometimes we have to allow ourselves to let go. And emotional release is on the right hemisphere of the brain. So there's a real balance and benefit to rebalancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And so 9 Gamut also, as we do the eye sweep in the full circle around and back again the other way, this is one of the things that's very, very important in the release of trauma associated to past events. When we record something that's really traumatic to us, there's actually a fluctuation recorded in the peripheral vision, in our peripheral vision. And so when we go back and we actually are doing 9 Gamut and we do the eye sweep around both ways, it helps to clear and finish the release of those traumatic events. So when we're stuck and we're just tapping on a regular issue and we don't know why we're stuck, if we do know why we're stuck, if we think, I'm never going to forgive that person, we can actually tap that. I promise myself, that person is not trustworthy. I'm never going to trust that person again. There's this reason, and there's this reason, and there's that reason. If we know what the reasons are, then we can just say them and tap on them. But if we hit a point where our intensity isn't falling, and we don't know why it's not falling, it should be falling because of the way the brain-body connection is. If we're tapping, the tapping should calm whatever it is we're upset about. And if it isn't, then it's got to be at the subconscious level. So maybe it's something that is an old trauma or an old upset or an old vow that we've made and that the conscious mind isn't aware of, but the subconscious is. So actually doing 9 Gamut is one of the points that makes sure that the regular tapping comes back online and works for us properly. So I know the explanation for 9 Gamut is quite long, but the actual doing of it is very, very short. And it takes less than a minute to do 9 Gamut. I'll run through it again now that I've done all that long explanation. I'll run through it again and you'll see how quick it is. Once you've learned to do tapping, 9 Gamut should be a regular part for you in making sure that you've cleared all the last pieces. So here I'll do 9 Gamut, just going through without talking, and you can see how quick 9 Gamut is, and recognize also how valuable it can be. So here's starting 9 Gamut. One, two, three, four, five. And the notes could be anything, but just whatever it is that you choose, that small process, 9 Gamut, is very, very valuable in keeping EFT working. If your SUDS is not dropping by 2 points or more. And here are the other times to use 9 Gamut. When you get to a low intensity, like a 4 or less, and you've done talk and tap, and you've tapped through everything you can think of, everything you can remember about it, and you can't think of what else it could be, but there's still a feeling left, like something's still left, you can do 9 Gamut then, because it may be a subconscious. Your subconscious may actually think it's trying to protect you by not letting go of the last of whatever this issue is. And if you do 9 Gamut, you may resolve it completely. So I hope that you will recognize the value in 9 Gamut, and that you'll recognize that there are a number of times when it's really useful to use 9 Gamut. when you're ruminating, when you feel anxious, when you can't focus on a single topic to tap on. There's so many things going on and you're so worried or so upset. Do 9 Gamut first. And then when you can focus more clearly on a specific topic, then do the regular tapping. Also, when you're in a situation where you're really powerless and when, say, chronic pain is a perfect situation in which you might do 9 Gamut first and then start to tap on the story of how you got to a point where you had chronic pain in your life. And also, when you get stuck, go to 9 Gamut. Think of it as a regular part of tapping. And don't think, I don't know what to do. Go to 9 Gamut. 9 Gamut often will resolve issues for you.